What's your take on work-life balance in a company that's trying to do big things?
I think that you have to have some very, very strict boundaries, but otherwise I think balance is kind of dumb. It will make you limited. I think you need to immerse yourself in the problem, but you need to define that immersion with boundaries. So if you ask me, like, what does like my process look like? It's monotonous and regimented, but it's all the time except when it's not. And that's also monotonous and regimented. And I think that makes me very good at my craft because it gives me what I need to stay connected to the problem without feeling resentful about the problem.
Which part? The monotonous all-in nature of it? Or the when you say hard boundaries, essentially go all out until you stop, and you don't stop often.
I'm in a little bit of a quandary right now because I'm trying to redefine my goals. And you're catching me in a moment where I have, even in these last few years of evolution, I think I've made some good progress, but in one very specific way, I'm still very reptilian. And I'm trying to let go.
Which way is that exactly? If you can...
in my business, it really gets reduced to what is your annual rate of compounding? That's my demarcation. Steph Curry and LeBron James, Michael Jordan, it's how many points did you average? Not just in a season, but over your career. And in their case, to really be the greatest of all time, it's points, rebounds, assists, steals. There's all kinds of measures to be, in that pantheon of being really, really good at your craft. And in my business, it's very reductive. It's how well have you compounded? And if you look at all the heroes that I have put on a pedestal in my mind, they've compounded, at above 30% for a very long time, as have I. But now I feel like I really need to let go because I think I know how to do the basics of my job. And if I had to summarize like an investing challenge or investing, I think really it's, when you first start out investing, you're a momentum person. You saw it in GameStop, just a bunch of people aping each other. And then it goes from momentum to you start to think about cash flows, how much profit is this person going to make, whatever. So that's like the evolution, this is the basic thing to this is a reasonably sophisticated way. Then a much smaller group of people think about it in terms of macro geopolitics. But then a very finite few crack this special code, which is there's a philosophy, and it's the philosophy that creates the system. And I'm scratching at that furiously, but I cannot break through, and I haven't broken through. And I know that in order to break through, I gotta let go. So this is the journey that I'm in as in my professional life. So it is an all-consuming thing, but I'm always home for dinner. We have very prescribed moments where we take vacation. The weekends, like if I can tell you about my week if you're curious.
I would love to know your week. Since it's regimented and monotonous.
I wake up at 6:45, get the kids, go downstairs. We all have some form of, not super healthy breakfast. I make a latte, and the latte is like, I have a machine, I measure the beans, I make sure that the timer is such where I have to pull it for a certain specific ratio, just so 20 grams, I got to pull 30 grams with the water, and I got to do it in 30 seconds, etc.
So you're a coffee snob.
It helps me stay in rhythm.
Sure.
Before I used to have another machine, I just pushed a button. Yeah. But then I would push the button religiously in the exact same way. You know what I mean?
Actually, on that topic, the morning with kids can be a pretty stressful thing. Are you able to find sort of happiness? Is that also that morning is a source of happiness?
It's great. My kids are lovely. They're maniacs. I see all of the things in moments where there was no compassion given to me. And so I just give them a ton of love and compassion. I have an infinite patience for my children, not for other kids.
Yes, of course.
But for other kids. So anyway, so we have a breakfast thing. And then I go upstairs, and I change and I work out from 8 to 9. And that's like the first 15 minutes, I walk up on a steep incline, 12 to 14%, 3.5 to 4 miles per hour walk. And then, Monday's a push day, Tuesday's front of the legs, Wednesday's pull, Thursday's back of the legs, 8 to 9. Monday, I talk to my therapist from 9 to 10. So as soon as I finish working out, I get on the phone and I talk to him. And it helps me lock in for the week. And I'm just talking about the past. And it's just helping me.
The recent past?
Usually, sometimes the recent past, but usually it's about the past. Something that I remember when I was a kid. Because that's the work about just loosening those knots, Yeah. So I put in that hour of work, respect that hour. Then I'm in the office. And then it's like, I go until 12:15, 12:30, go home, have lunch. Like a proper, go home, sit down, have lunch with Nat, talk. She leaves her work. And we talk, how we doing? Just check in. Our youngest daughter will be there because she's 1. And she's making a mess. And then I'll have another coffee. That's it. My limit for the day.
Oh, no more caffeine.
That's it. Oh. And then I go back to the office and I'll be there till 6, 7 sometimes. And I do that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, I'm allowed to have meetings. Wednesday, nothing. It's all reading. Must be. Unless it's a complete emergency. It has to be kind of a full reading. And reading is a bunch of blogs, YouTube videos.
So try not to do any talking.
No talking. It's like being in silence, being present, thinking about things.
By the way, how do you take notes? Do you have a
sketch? I have a pad and I write stuff down. Sometimes I go to my phone. I'm a little all over the place. Sometimes I do Google Docs. I don't have it. This is one thing I need to get better at, actually. But typically what happens is I actually do a lot of thinking in my mind and I'm sort of filing a lot of stuff away. And then it all spills out and then I have to write. And then that gives me a body of work that I can evaluate and think about. And then I usually put it away. And a lot of the time it goes nowhere. But every now and then I come back to it and it just unlocks 2 or 3 things and I have a sense of how else I'm thinking about things. And then Friday at the end of the day, Nat and I talk to a couples therapist. And that's about checking out properly. So it's like, okay, now it's like focusing. The weekend is family, being present, being aware, and if there's email, obviously. If I have to do meetings from time to time, no problem. But there's boundaries.
Checking out properly. Oh man, that is so powerful. Just officially transitioning.
Yeah. So these are really important boundaries so that I can be immersed. And what that means is look, on a Saturday afternoon, on a random day, she'll be like, where's Chamath? And I'll be up in my room and I've found a podcast talking about DCIS, which is ductal cancer in situ, because I've been fascinated about breast cancer surgeries for a while and learning about that. And she's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm listening to a podcast about DCIS. And she's like, what's that? And I'm like, ductal cancer in situ. She's like, okay. And so, I have time to continue to just constantly learning, putting stuff in my memory banks to organize into something. And that's that's a week. But then in these fixed moments of time, phone down, everything down, we go on vacation, we go on a boat, we go to whatever, where it's just us and the kids.
Is there structure when you're at work? Is there structure to your day in terms of meetings, in terms of outside of Wednesday? Because you're
to keep meetings to less than 30 minutes. Have to. And, oftentimes meetings can be as short as 10 or 15 minutes, because then I'm just like, okay. Because I'm trying to reinforce that it's very rare that we all have something really important to say. And so the ritual that becomes really valuable to get scale is not the ritual of meetings, but the ritual of respecting the collective time of the unit. And so it's like, you know what, folks, I'm going to assume that you guys are also tackling really important projects. You also want to have good boundaries in this immersion. Go back to your kids and have dinner with them every night. It's not just for me, it's for you.